It's true. I am in so much debt as a musician, but it's not the type of debt you're probably thinking of right now. It's not monetary debt. It's a debt of gratitude that I owe to so many who have influenced me over the years to become the musician that I am. If you've tracked me in any way, whether it's watch a video or listen to a CD or maybe you've seen me perform in person, you've probably heard some influences in my singing and in my playing. For example, you might have heard just little streams or little lines of James Taylor or Lionel Richie or Kenny Loggins or Stevie Wonder, even Brian McKnight. Or in my playing, you might have noticed little nuances that sounded a little like Larry Carlton or Robin Ford, maybe even George Benson and Pat Metheny. There's been a lot of great musicians out there who have influenced me to become the musician I am today. And to all of them, I owe a great debt of gratitude. But there are 3 people to whom I owe so much I can never repay. I can never thank them enough. This video is about them. I wanted to share with you how much these people have influenced me to become the musician I am today, and how much I owe them. So I hope you'll take a moment to watch this video. It's not about me, it's about them, and I want to talk about them. Have you guessed who they are? Stick around. Let's find out. The first person I would call the driving force behind me becoming a musician in the first place, and that's my lovely mother, Barbara Jean Hook. Look, my mom developed an atmosphere of music in our house and around me from when I was in the womb, singing to me, and then, you know, being born and hearing music constantly in our house. That's what it seemed like to me. Whether it was the radio or whether it was the record player, throughout the day on a regular basis. And then as we grew older, many of us became musicians, and she, you know, supported us all the way. I remember getting together with my brothers and sisters who are about the same age or near the age that I am, and we were in concert choir or madrigal, and we'd work on our parts, and she would support that. When my older brother and I became professional musicians, always behind us, supporting us. I don't remember anything but words of encouragement from my mother when it came to music. And so she just cultivated that atmosphere of music in our house, and it just naturally led me to want to be a musician. And I owe my mother because of that. In fact, to this day, one of my mother's favorite activities is to just get together with her kids and getting together and singing. Just singing as a family. And my mother is a good singer. One of the things our family does is we have, you know, a lot of families have photo albums. We do as well. But we developed, not long ago, an audio album where we, as a family, across the country, created CDs so that we could have sort of an audio or musical memories for all of us as well. Well, my older brother and I convinced my mother to participate in that. And so I want you to hear, this is my mother in her 80s. I want you to hear her. It's a little tidbit of her singing. Take a listen.
Say it's only a paper moon sailing over a cardboard sea, but it wouldn't be make-believe if you believe in me. Yes, it's only a canvas sky hanging over a muslin tree, but it wouldn't be make-believe if if you believe in me. Without your love, it's a honky-tonk parade. Without your love, it's a melody played in a penny arcade. It's a Barnum and Bailey world, just as phony as it can be. But it wouldn't be make-believe if you believe in me.
You see what I mean? That's good stuff. That's what I heard on a regular basis in our house. So I can say without hesitation that the driving force behind me developing a love for music and a desire to be a musician, the driving force is my mother. She's awesome. She's still with us today. And so I say to you, Mom, I love you so much. Thank you so much for influencing me to become a musician just by having music around us on a regular basis. I owe you more than I can ever repay. Thank you. The second person to play a huge role in influencing me to become the musician that I am today is my father, Benedicto Villaverdi. His friends, family, knew him as Benny Villaverdi. And my dad was an excellent musician in his own right. He was a guitar player, he was a bass player, a trumpet player, I think he played ukulele. He could do quite a bit, and he had perfect pitch. So my dad was the one who introduced me to Filipino music, my very culture, my very heritage. He actually recorded 2 whole CDs and gave them to me. So I have him playing Filipino music so that I can learn that. And that really is something I owe him quite a bit. I really owe him a lot for taking the time to do all that so that I could have those songs and I can work on them and put those into my own repertoire. And he also introduced me to jazz. And by introducing me to jazz and playing jazz constantly around me, I developed a love for jazz, just like my father did. And so, he would, when I had moved away, he would send me tapes, cassette tapes, and albums of some great jazz guitarists. Like George Benson or Wes Montgomery. He would send tapes of Pat Metheny or one of his dear friends, a really good friend of his, great jazz player, Kenny Burrell. My dad introduced these players to me and helped me to, really love guitar jazz. Let me tell you a couple stories about my dad when it comes to his perfect pitch. I remember once my sister, Andrea, and I were going to sing the Star-Spangled Banner before a wrestling match. And we're going to sing it a cappella. So my sister sang the melody, and I had to work out some harmony that would complement whatever key she was in. So I remember my dad sitting there while we were working that out, and his pitch was so good. If I was wrong, he'd let me know. But it helped me to get on track and really, develop a harmony that really worked. He just had that kind of ear. I've got another good story about that. I was lounging around with my father in his house. We were listening to some jazz album, and some song came on. I didn't know what it was at the time, but my father challenged me. He said, "What key is that in?" And I thought about it, and It must seem like a while, but it's probably only a few seconds. And I remember saying, that's in the key of E flat. This is when I was just a young kid, and he said, yeah, that's right. And I think I just kind of took it in stride like, yeah, I can do it. The truth of the matter is, I had a 1 out of 12 guess, right? But I got it right. So that was my dad. I'd like to show you just a little bit of a jam session that my dad and I had. And this is, he's in his early 80s, I believe. And so his fingers aren't quite as nimble. In fact, he's not even playing with a pick. I think he's just playing with his fingers. But take a listen. I think you'll be able to hear that even then, at an advanced age, he was a really good player. And I treasure having a copy of this jam session with my dad and me. Take a listen.
Take them.
I'll just solo over it. You can take the melody and solo. So there you go. There's an example of my father's playing and mine in a jazz jam session back in my house in Missouri. Unfortunately, my father passed away 2012, and so I can't tell him thank you to his face anymore, but I think he knows, or he knew, how much I really appreciated what he did for me as a musician. And I'm just going to say, so everyone can hear it, thank you, Dad, for helping me out to influence me to love jazz as much as I do now, and to helping me develop that ear for jazz music and to putting that into my music. That I owe you that. And it's a debt I can never repay. Thank you so much. Well, you may have guessed it by now, but the third person who has been the biggest influence to me as a musician is my older brother, Kelly Villaverde. Let me tell you a little bit about my brother, Kelly. He is a fantastic musician. He is a guitarist, plays bass, plays ukulele. He can play a little bit of keyboards even, and he is an excellent composer. His songs are just, not only do they have a real positive and really great message, but they're crafted so cleverly when it comes to lyrics. And he is a super arranger of music. That's just a whole other field a lot of musicians can't do. I'm not very good at it myself. It's to take a song and to arrange what instruments belong in the recording of that song so that when you hear it, it sounds like it should sound. He's great at that. And he has an ear for harmony, far better than mine. He could just hear all the various harmonies, sing them, find them on the instrument he's playing, and just play them. It's an amazing thing. Let me tell you about my brother when it came to performing as a musician. He developed this act where he played alone, but the sound that came out was just incredible. Here's what he did. I've seen a lot of musicians who did something similar to this, where they would play the guitar and they would sing, maybe like Neil Young, they would play the harmonica, or I've seen musicians where they actually had, like a foot pedal so they could hit a drum while they're playing, and that's all incredible stuff. It's just incredible musicians with super talent. My brother did something like that, which I think is just, I don't know how he did it. What he would do is he would take his guitar and play the guitar, both the chords and lead, single note lines. He would sing while he was doing this. And then he would use his feet to play bass pedals. Now, if you've ever seen an organ and you were to look down, you'd see all these pedals on the bottom of an organ to play bass lines. Well, it's sort of like that, except for take the big organ away and you just have this little box of pedals, if you will, and you can hook that up to some outside musical source like a keyboard or something like that and put a bass sound on there. He would play the bass lines with his feet while he played chord lines, single lines, and sang. And then in addition to all that, he pre-programmed drums, or at least sections of drums, and then would click the drum machine to the different sections, whether it be the A section or the B section of a song, whatever the case may be, an intro or an outro. And it would just all come together like it was a full band, and he was doing it all himself. That's amazing. I can't do that. I wish I had some video to show you. That's just awesome. Of all the musicians I know personally who I've ever played with or sang with, he's the best all-around musician I've ever played with. And that alone, having my older brother could do all that and influence me as a younger brother, that's awesome. I want to take a little bit more time talking about my older brother Kelly because he has been the biggest influence on me to help me to become the musician that I am today. I remember when I was younger, I was just in college, and my brother was already playing gigs, and he called me up one night while I was in college and asked me if I'd sit in for him so he could take the night off. It's like a month away. And I'd not done that before. I'm like scared. I can't do that. Total confidence in me. Of course you can. You can do it. He sent me cassettes. I listened to him. He knew I'd be able to figure it out from there, but he just supported me. He believed in me that I could do it. And even though I was frightened out, beyond any degree, I went up there and played the sets with those guys. And it's because my brother believed in me. Let me tell you another story. My brother's band once played for one of the proms at Odessa, Missouri. And I was a sophomore or something like that, and so I was a server for the prom, but I got to go to the prom as a server. And so I did my job serving seniors or whatever the case may be, and listening to them play. Well, when the music was done, the prom was over, I went up to say hi to my brother. So try to imagine that you've played like a 4-hour set as musicians. You're sitting there putting your gear away, you're tired, you want to go home, and my brother grabs me and looks at all the other musicians and says, "Guys, I want you to hear my brother play. He's really good." He got out his guitar and I played for those musicians. Now, I don't know how much attention they paid to that, but that was my brother supporting me, letting them know that he thought I was a good player. And that made a difference to a young whippersnapper like me. So he was always like that. He always supported me, encouraged me, told me I was good, put me in positions where he knew I would succeed. That's my older brother. One of the great thrills in my life, really, especially when I look back on it, was being able to join my brother's band and play gigs on a regular basis with my brother. Listen, it was cool. I don't know if he knows how much it means to me that he let me play in his band. But, man, I really appreciated that. I'd like you to listen to a little bit of a song that my brother wrote and recorded on one of his CDs. In fact, if you don't have any of his CDs, I'm just going to go ahead and pitch them right now. You can still go on, I think, Amazon, and you can find his CDs. Look for the band Emerald House. Emerald, like green, house. Emerald House, and you'll find CDs from my brother, and they're awesome. So buy them. Anyway, here's a song from one of those CDs, and just give you a taste of his writing ability, his singing ability, his playing ability, his arranging ability. Take a listen.
So far away, but always close, always dear to my heart. I begged your leave, though it made me grieve, but nevermore kept apart. Leua strands, Kailua sands. I've been gone so long, so Leua strands, Kailua sands. I've been gone too long.
The person who has influenced me more than any other person is my older brother, Kelly. And Kelly, I just want to tell you, thank you so much for always being there for me, for helping me to develop as a guitarist, and even as a singer, to encourage me and to push me to work and to practice, and just to be there. I owe you more than I can repay you. And the debt of gratitude is just so huge. But I just want you to know, thank you. Thank you for all that you've done for me. Look, I recognize that I am not the best musician, and honestly, unfortunately, I'm not even close. But if there's any part of my music that you may have heard that you've enjoyed, largely it's because of my mother, my father, and my brother. And if you ever see my mother or my brother, take the time to tell them thank you and help me to repay them back for what they have done for me so that I could be the musician that I am today. Finally, let me say, if you've made it through this video, then my debt has just increased, because I owe you a great debt of gratitude for taking the time out of your day to listen to this video, perhaps the previous videos. Thank you so much. I appreciate it, and thanks for listening.